Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and otherwise. I'm Lamar Haven. Welcome back to Remember 11, The Age of Infinity. Last we left our heroes. Main character that we are playing as can apparently switch bodies with someone named Satoru. Unfortunately, we don't really know that yet from a character perspective. That's suppositions we've made. And she was also in a plane crash. She barely survived it, along with the help of a couple of very nice people in this cabin that we see in the background, including a little friend that we met on the plane, a mountaineer, and a very upset woman. That said, we also seem to know that hopefully nearby, it may not be nearby, there's apparently a facility where Satoru is. And where Satoru is, there's a woman who's a serial killer, but she was young enough to be put into a psychiatric facility instead. And this odd woman who got very upset when we told her what name we had. I'm beginning to suspect what's going on in the facility is ahead in time, and we're back in time, but I don't know exactly. So why don't we go ahead and hop back into where we were last left off? Shortcut, Load this file. Yes, I will. Oh, right. Kokoro, the character we're playing as, wanted to thank the people that saved her, starting with Yomogi. Yomogi-san! With an almost indecent cry, I jumped onto Yomogi's back without warning. Ugh! Our limbs entangling, we tumbled, rolling around the floor. She seems very affectionate. She wanted to do the same thing to the other, one of the other characters, but he was a little tired and needed sleep. Kokoro is an interesting character. Yomogi-san, Yomogi-san. Hey, come on. What's gotten into you? Stop it, Fuyokawa. Stop it. Stop, please. Come on, stop. I won't stop. I won't stop. Just what are you trying to do? What got into you? What is the meaning of this? There is no meaning. I'm just expressing my feelings. Expressing your feelings? Hey, now don't be hasty. Fuyokawa, we're not in that kind of relationship yet, you know. Even the tough guys like me can't stand this kind of wear and tear. Oh, cut it out. My expression of my feelings continued for a while afterward. That's adorable. I guess she's just kind of affectionate. See, that kind of behavior doesn't strike me as odd at all because I've had a lot of female friends who do similar things. Never been in a romantic relationship with any of them, but they would totally tackle hug me in a minute. Falling into autism? Huh. Have you calmed down? Yes. After my outburst ended, I felt embarrassed right away. It was a little awkward. Usually that doesn't happen with my friends when they do it to me because I just kind of sit there like, whatever, just do whatever you need to. I'm not very affectionate back, and they tease me about it constantly. Yomogi stared at the wall, seemingly half shy and half shocked. Inside the cabin, the silence continued. I drank the last of the chamomile tea and found myself with nothing else to do. Clinging is prohibited. Perhaps he was the type to hold a grudge. That's not it. What are we going to do from now on? What you say? It's not like we can stay in this cabin forever, right? You must have some good ideas, right? You're a pro mountain climber after all, Yomogi-san. Yomogi shrugged his shoulders. Don't you know where we are? For example, a mountain you visited in the past? I'd be happy if a coincidence like that happened, but unfortunately in that snowstorm, finding out the specific location was... That's right. Isn't there anything we can use in this cabin, like a map? I've already searched everywhere. Okay. Let's back up a second. I suddenly have a humongous suspicion that I'm annoyed didn't occur to me earlier. Why is this cabin here? Why is it stocked with supplies? Who owns this cabin? Now, it's not entirely strange to have a cabin in the middle of nowhere already stocked with supplies if they're in a secured enough location that you're absolutely certain animals won't get to them, the elements won't get to them, etc., etc. people don't want to bring a ton of supplies every time they go visit a cabin in the out in the middle of nowhere. I have family that does this. They lock up their supplies in very specific places with their cabin that's out in the middle of nowhere. It requires like a 2-hour ATV drive to even get to it. And you go through very, very thick woods to do it, where they specifically built an ATV trail. So that isn't entirely strange. This isn't unheard of. But in the context of this story, one, not a lot of people have experienced that kind of living or that kind of or the way some people might do that, so they would find it strange. And as such, I think the story is trying to indicate that there's something wrong here. That this was planned and prepared. I was at a loss. I was happy before, but our situation might be even more hopeless than I imagined. I searched in my pocket for anything that might serve as a clue. All I found was a voice recorder. Okay, hold on, back up a sec. I was just thinking about where they got the clothes. They got the clothes from the plane crash. He looked through the supplies there. So what supplies have been in the cabin itself? Seems some tea, possibly some food. What's below? We didn't do much searching below. Once we found Uni, we came right back up. So, and it didn't give us a description of what the storage room looked like. The voice recorders for the interviews she was going to do, so that's not strange. Sorry about that. Interesting. I guess that was to be expected. After all, if something I'd been carrying had turned out to be a clue about this cabin, it'd just be scary. The playback display only reads Data 1 and Data 2. Having recorded Data 1 myself, I already know what's on it, but I played it back even so. I'm a seagull. These are words uttered by the first woman in space. This is all stuff we've heard before. Okay. It was my voice, although that was obvious. And then Yomogi took out something that appeared to be a machine from his breast pocket. While continuously staring at it, he shook his head slightly and laid it on the table. Ooh, it's a fancy watch. Oh no, it's a GPS! Ooh. But he stared at it and he's mad. It's broken, isn't it? First I thought it was a wristwatch, but it's a little bigger than an ordinary watch. It also had so many different attachments that it looked like it might be cumbersome. Was this some sort of computer terminal? Enough chamomile tea to bring down an elephant. That's true. I remember that quote now. Liquid crystal display was showing figures that I didn't know the meaning of. What's that? A GPS. Well, simply put, it's a device that shows the coordinates of the current position. Although I can explain exactly what GPS is. Global Positioning System. A system which uses man-made satellites to calculate the position of a receiver, a person, boat, plane, car, etc. on a 3D grid system which spans the entire Earth. I use one regularly because I get lost going to the grocery store. Huh? Isn't that great? It would be, if it worked. Meaning? Things busted. Heartbroken, I dropped my shoulders. The shock of the crash was probably what did it in. It isn't completely broken, but it only displays messed up coordinates. As for fixing it, if I could do that, I would have a while ago. And this thing was pretty expensive, too. Yomogi let out a sigh. I sat back down in the chair. Even nowadays, a wristwatch GPS might be pretty expensive. Actually, maybe not that much. That's basically a Google Watch. Now that I think about it, Google Watch probably has GPS positioning and stuff. Not Google, sorry, Apple Watch? I can't remember who's making the stupid watches. Oh well, whatever. Sat back down in the chair. I wish you wouldn't thoughtlessly show me a broken and useless thing. You want to know, you want to get a good itemization of what you have available. Even broken stuff can be useful if you figure out a way to fix it or use it for something else. Just because it displays weird coordinates doesn't mean it's completely useless. It might have some other features. The momentary hope I'd had caused my despair to return stronger than ever. My tongue sharpened with disappointment and began to murmur sarcastically. Why are you still holding on to something like that? It's an old habit. I'm always carrying it around, after all. Yomogi looked at it with a bitter smile as I tilted my head. What a weird old guy. No one person would carry around something like that. Well, as to our location, I've considered a few things. Yes? I've tried to remember the situation before the crash. We know we were about an hour out from our destination, I think. Hour to 2 hours, maybe. So that is a big radius of places you could be if you take into effect the fact that they're flying, but it does limit it somewhat. Google Glass Watch 360 Pro. I don't think 2 hours passed from the time we took off from Haneda to the crash. It was about 1 to 1.5 hours. It was about 1 to 1.5 hours, right? If I were to guess it from the flight's course, I'd say there's a high chance we're on a mountain in Tohoku. Ehomori, Akita, Iwate, most likely somewhere around there. That's actually a lot more information I was expecting, yeah. It's no good, that's too vague. Yeah, it's still pretty vague. You're like, 3 gigantic mountain ranges. Or mountains themselves. I don't know if they're a name of range or just a mountain. The air is thin, so I think we're pretty high up. It'll probably take a while for our rescuers to arrive. After saying that, Yomogi smiled as if to comfort me. Hey, don't worry. The fact that there's a cabin means that this is a place where people come. Hearing that, I mustered a thin smile in return. Of course, I wasn't reassured by what Yomogi said, as I thought the situation was pretty bad. Is this place really in Japan? That's an odd thing to say. Why do you ask? Somehow it feels like this isn't reality. For a lady from the big city, it's not odd you'd think that. Hearing his slightly teasing tone angered me just a little. In that case, it was like I was totally helpless by myself, wasn't it? I know where this place is. Uni slowly got up from his bed. Though he still seemed partly asleep, he spoke with a conviction as he rose. It's called Mount Akakura. Huh? Huh? I looked at Uni's face, surprised. Mogi was wearing a perplexed expression as well. Why are we starting to see Kokoro on screen? That seems strange to me, that they've decided to start doing that. We've always been looking from her perspective. But ever since she started teasing him, we started seeing from the outside. Like, our perspective is no longer linked to her as a character. Huh. How do you know that? In fact, now we're looking from Uni's perspective, aren't we? Uni's thin lips curled into a smile. His face without glasses was the most childish I'd ever seen it. We're still hearing her inner monologue, though. This is kind of confusing to me. I wonder exactly what this choice means, because I'm guessing it's significant from a design perspective. Look at me talking about design in a visual novel. I might be overthinking this a tad. Even so, with a distant look in his eyes, he laughed as if he was one who understood everything. I thought his facial expression was strange somehow. My spine suddenly tingled. Uni? Uni stood up unsteadily without answering. Walking uncertainly, he turned to the entrance. Uni! Where are you? Come, follow me! Uni smiled again. He was facing us, but his eyes weren't focused on us. Where is he looking? I'll tell you. Uni opened the door. Strong wind and snow blew into the cabin. Uni's figure disappeared in the white landscape. Hey, wait! Yomogi went after him, with me following right behind. Snowstorm hit to my cheeks with amazing force. Pain. More than the cold, what I felt was pain. Couldn't see in front of me, my eyes wouldn't open at all. Uni! I tried to yell, but my voice was erased by the wind. Uni! And then something pulled at my hand. I looked up and saw Uni. There! His fingers pointed to beside the cabin's entrance. I saw something with my freezing eyes. Oh, it's the sign! Mount Akakura Emergency Shelter Cabin. Well, that explains a great deal about this cabin and where we are. And I was curious about that sign to begin with, and I made a note of it. I just obviously couldn't read it. So the game decided to finally tell us about that sign. Well, that explains a great deal about the cabin itself, why it's here, and why it's stocked. That was quite a trick. I hadn't noticed it all because of the snowstorm. You got me. Jeez, Uni, don't scare me like that. In the short time I'd been outside, my body became frozen through and through. It was impossible to keep shivering out of my voice. Forgetting to wipe off some of the snow that clung to me, I rushed to the stove. What do you mean? Never mind, it's nothing. Uni squinted and followed me. His eyes seemed to swim. Hey, before that, glasses! My glasses! Oh, sorry. I picked up the glasses from the table and returned them to him. What is all this fuss about? Mayuzumi had gotten up. Yomogi explained to her about figuring out where we were. That means we can escape now, right? Escape? We know where we are, right? We can climb down now, can't we? It certainly felt like what she said was overly obvious. No, it's impossible. Why? All we know is the name of the mountain. I've never been here before. We don't know the route down. Mayuzumi pointed in Yuni's direction with her chin. That bright over there is a compass, right? If we use that... Seems the conversation between Yomogi and myself earlier had reached her ears all right. However, Yomogi shook his head and glared balefully at the doorway. If we could do something just because we had a compass, we wouldn't be having any trouble. Walking around in a blizzard would be suicide. Waiting quietly to be rescued is the best plan. We did it, Mayuzumi! We read a sign! Huh. Displeased, Mayuzumi let out a snort and again retreated to the top bunk. Continuing her nap, maybe. I kind of understood how she felt. We now know the name of the mountain we're on, but that doesn't lead to any sort of solution at all. What's the saying? Knowing the exact weight, speed, and strength of the rhinoceros charging you? I continued to try and think of something else we could do. However, everything I thought of, Yomogi had already tried. It seems there was no method to establish contact with the base of the mountain. Fortunately, the cabin's basement still had a decent stock of firewood remaining. If there was some fire remaining, then we'd be alright when it comes to water. We just have to melt some snow. It wasn't a great amount, but there was a supply of food stored there, in there as well. If we ration it with 4 people, we can endure for 4 days, said Yomogi in an attempt to keep my courage up. Cool! So we have some actual numbers that we could deal with, and some actual information about what we have there. Cool. After that, all we can do is wait patiently for the blizzard to stop and the rescue team to arrive. Hey, I'm hungry. That's right, let's eat. I'll help. There's nothing you can really help with. While laughing, he picked up a cardboard box in the corner of the room. I followed behind him. Peeked in one of the 3 cardboard boxes that were there. Inside were a number of little packages, each smaller than a fist. They were freeze-dried emergency provisions. There were stew, seasoned porridge, and rice. Obviously, some of these terms are really simple, but I'm going to go over them anyway, just in case there's some extra clues, or in case there are people that might actually not know what some of these things are. A method of rapidly freezing and dehydrating food, allowing it to retain its flavor and nutritional content even as it loses its shape. Freeze-dried foodstuff can later be reconstituted with hot or cold water. Reminds me of the famous last words, "Why are you cowering in the trenches? They couldn't hit an elephant at this Yeah. I took one into my hand and checked the expiration date. It seemed to be totally fine. It seemed freeze-dried food could be preserved for up to 10 years. Thankful for the wisdom of mankind. Besides those, we'd found some hard-tack biscuits as well. Feeling slightly nostalgic, I think it'd be best to keep our strength up, so let's try eating. I opened the packaging and put some of the hardtack into my mouth. There was no taste at all. The moisture inside my mouth was sucked away, drying it out completely. Yuck. There were emergency rations, so I guess that was to be expected. This is very delicious, emergency rations. Wait, what else does it say? Emergency rations, and as for this is the calorie of adult 2... I can't read the rest. Hey now, there are the precious rations, so value them more. That's right, we only have 4 days worth of food. I'm sorry. Lucky you, Kokoro, I want some too. No way, this is confiscated. Stingy. Yomogi placed the biscuits back in the cardboard box. Yomogi pulled out an aluminum pot from the box beside it. It seemed somewhat flimsy, but it was all we had for using it for heating things, so then it would just be fine. Well then, please put some snow in this pot. It has a very delicious, gratuitous English, yeah. Got it. I'll go. Uni snatched the pot from my hand. Aw, jeez, Uni. Ignoring my cry, Uni stumbled nimbly to the entrance. When he opened the door, another freezing gust blew in. It's cold! Mayuzumi complained from her bed. Inside the cabin, the wind swirled the snow it was carrying around. Carried by the wind, a newspaper flew out of the box and fluttered in the air. I picked it up without a second thought, and then one of the articles inside caught my eye. A random newspaper? How old is it? 2011. July 4th. Wait a minute. What was the date when we got on the plane again? I didn't write it down. What the? Huh? 3 decomposed male and female corpses found on Mount Akakura. 1, Yuni's not there. But that's because he might have been in the facility. Is this for the future, or is this like somebody planning something? I'm so confused. Oh my. So there might be some time travel going on. Very, very strange. Missing passengers from the HAL crash? My throat went dry. Shakespeare. My heart was pounding like a hammer. It wouldn't calm down. It's strange. Something was strange. There's something wrong with this newspaper. Yeah, wasn't it like near January or something when the thing happened? When the plane crashed, or when we were on the plane? Could have sworn it was supposed to be January 11th, 2011. And this one takes place several months later. Date. Yes, it was the date. Today's date is Heisei 23. In other words, it should be January 11, 2011. I was right! I remembered a number! Yay! However, the newspaper is dated July 4th, 2011. That couldn't be. It's impossible. My breathing became pained. Wheezing sounds came from my throat. See, this isn't as simple as as this paper saying we're missing. It specifically said decayed corpses. But there seemed to be some question as to the identity. They were like, were these missing people from the HAL crash? I don't know if that means they did identify us and they were just wondering if that's where we came from, or if they were saying, we had 3 people missing from the crash, we think this is them. I don't know which way it goes. We'll see if they tell us. Wheezing sounds came from my throat. It was like my body wasn't my own. The hand holding the newspaper was trembling. Even so, I frantically read the article. The Aomori Prefectural Police announced that recent discovery of the remains of 3 men and women on Aomori's Mount Akakura. Of course, we're checking this out as soon as we can. Shakes other fist. Nakazawa. Mount Akakura, part of the Aomori Prefecture's southern Hakuda mountain range, elevation 1,298 meters. Draws a fair number of people during the winter climbing season. Believed to be victims of the crash of Flight HAL 18, which claimed 27 lives last January. As they were undergone extensive decomposition over a period of 6 months, the identity of the bodies are... Yeah, that was 6 months. These of the body were unclear, but they are assumed to be the last 3 unaccounted for members. Okay, so they didn't confirm the identities. That is significant. Among passenger and crew members on HAL 18, the bodies were discovered 1 kilometer east of the Mount Akakura shelter cabin. What? Why would... It has been confirmed that the 3 bodies, which sustained a large number of lacerations in an avalanche days after the crash, are those of the survivors. It has been confirmed. However, due to the bodies of victims being discovered away from the root of the mountain, the Aomori Prefecture police investigation and the day of their death will continue. According to Aomori Weather Observation Department, an avalanche affecting Mount Akakura and its surroundings area occurred on July 17. You know what? I'm writing this down. Because I am concerned. And I'm terrible at remembering dates. So I want to remember some. Even if the game is going to be obvious about some of them. Crash. The date of this is July 4, 2011. Newspaper. January 17, 2011 is Avalanche. And we even have a phone, not a phone number, sorry. We even have a time, 6:53. You're bad at remembering things. Yes, okay? Bad at remembering things. Dates are one of my weaknesses, trust me. After analyzing the traces left at Mount Akakura's shelter cabin, it was concluded that those who had used it survived for 7 days after the crash. The horrific crash of Flight 18 with the discovery of the 3 bodies claimed 30 lives out of the 31 crew members and passengers aboard. Uni is the only one who survives. 31 passengers, 30 deaths. Saved was the sole survivor of the crash, Kusuda Unikun, 11. What's happening? What is this? My voice grew hoarse and my entire body began to tremble. It's weird. As I thought, this newspaper is weird. Hey, what's wrong? Hey. Show it to them and see if they see the same thing. Someone was calling for me. The voice seemed far away. My shoulders trembled. I shook that off, but the trembling ran to my fingertips instead. Identity of the 3 discovered bodies. They are Yamogi Seiji-san, 35. Mayuzumi Len-san, 23. Fuyukawa Kokoro-san, 20. Everything turns black. From within the core of my brain, my unconsciousness recedes somewhere far, far away. Is this a dream? Yes, it's a dream. If it wasn't, we're going to die? As I thought that, an intense feeling of anger boiled over within me. Lies, it's obvious this thing is lying. It's a lie. There has to be some sort of mistake. I tried to blot it out, and then I gripped the newspaper more tightly. Heart, body, and tranquilizers. Huh? My body flinched in surprise at hearing the sudden sound. There were fragments of a broken cup at my feet. Why were there cups? Had there been any cups like this in the cabin? No, I shouldn't have been holding any cups in the first place. What was I holding? Was that cryptic newspaper? What are you doing? Oh, it's her. Surprised again, I turned my head in the direction of the voice. What's wrong? Are you okay? Did I get the name wrong? Or was it actually wrong on the newspaper and I didn't notice? All of a sudden I saw the brown-skinned woman who had slapped me in my dream. Where? I'm sorry. Where? I was confused. Sort it out. I have to sort it out. The things inside my head, sort them out. The more I tried, the more of a mess it seemed to become. Calm down. Calm down, Fuyukawa Kokoro. And the brown-skinned woman rushed over to me. Could it be your body still hurts? But the pain reliever should still be in effect. Where does it hurt? She peered worriedly at my face. Where does it hurt? Nowhere, really. I shook my head reflexively. I see. You surprised me. The woman knelt in front of me and started to pick up the fragments of the broken cups. Just me being sarcastic as usual? Okay. She glanced at me and looked at me with a worried expression on her face. You aren't injured. Her kind behavior left me bewildered. It was totally different than before. What is this? I asked as I shied away from the woman. How careless. Uni was there. He looked at me with a teasing smile. I surveyed my surroundings. It wasn't the shelter cabin. Something came back to me. This room too had been in the dream I had before. Inside the room there were 2 people beside myself. I remember seeing those 2. The 2 people the same in the dream from before. Damn it, Tita Bro. I was wondering if that was actually if that would confuse people enough. And good to see you. The brown-skinned woman in Uni. In addition, beyond the living area, a single girl casually appeared. I remember seeing the girl too. Inabushi Keiko. Everyone stared at me with suspicion in their eyes. What's happening? That's my line. What happened, Satoru? Satoru? It's a name I heard somewhere before. Where I heard it, I can't remember. Or was it just my imagination? The name Satoru is pretty common. No, something like that doesn't matter. Just what does this mean? If I remember correctly, I was reading a strange article in the newspaper. In the article, I had read information about a plane crash, as well as information about Uni being rescued. And it was written there that I was going to die. I don't remember anything after that. I was at my wit's end. I wondered what happened to me after I saw the newspaper. I wondered what I did then. Are you really okay? The brown-skinned woman softly placed her hands on my shoulder. No! I shook it off unintentionally. However, I saw the woman's uneasy expression, and what I did became inexcusable. I'm sorry. I was probably seeing the same dream again. A dream I'd had before I regained consciousness in the shelter cabin. The time I saw my own appearance in the glass. It can't be. That shouldn't be. Praying that, I ran over the large window in the south side living area. The window should reflect my appearance like a mirror. It certainly did reflect it. Not me, but a man I'd never seen before had appeared there. In my last dream, the last thing I saw was this man. No way. Lies. It wasn't a lie. The man reflected in the window made the exact same movements as myself. He shook his head as if saying no, no, and covered his mouth in shock. A Slap Through a Window by Michael Bay. I think you misspelled his last name, unless he's also your boyfriend. Which, you know, that'd be kind of cool, actually. I mean, I don't like the guy's movies, but he's rich as fuck. And I saw myself right away. This is... me? That shouldn't be. Something like that couldn't possibly be. Satoru, what's wrong? Uni stood right beside me. He looked up at me. It felt as if Uni had grown shorter somehow. Uni had gotten smaller. No, it was me who'd gotten bigger. Oh, where is this place? There you go. Now you got it. It's like bay, like a ocean, like the bay of an ocean or something like that. I grabbed Uni by his slender shoulders. Finally shaking, I questioned him. Uni's face became distorted. It hurts! It hurts! Stop it! Don't use violence! The brown-skinned woman clung to me. It hurts! It hurts! Suddenly tears began flowing from Uni's round eyes. I became panicked and released him. Strange. I remember gripping him that tightly. Hey! Please, someone answer me. Where is this place? I don't know. Huh? Don't get mad. I really don't know. I turned to the brown-skinned woman. I asked with my eyes. An institution. There was an unpleasant feeling in the woman's voice. Institution? What institution? She turned her eyes away from me. The next word out of her mouth was a shocking one. Sphia! Ha-ha! I was right! I mean, wait, that's bad. Huh? Sphia. That's all I need to say, right? Sphia, you say? Of course, I know of an institution called Sphia. The place where Nimbushi Keiko was being held. An institution where the mentally unsound were isolated. A place where I was supposed to go. If the airplane accident hadn't occurred, I would have arrived at Sphia with no problems. Are you saying this is Sphia? Why am I at Sphia? This is Satoru, you should know that, right? Uni became frightened by my violent attitude from a while ago. Hey, Uni, you've been saying Satoru since before. What are you talking about? Huh? Uni's eyes widened. Following his gaze, my eyes met the glass window that reflected the figure of the male me. Even now, there was a man standing beside Uni, after all. It wasn't reflecting me. Uni's eyes were looking at the man reflected in the window. In other words, Satoru is... me? I approached the window one more time. I was being looked at with eyes I'd never seen before. It was quite a fearless face. Cheeks and nose, mouth and forehead, touched everything I saw. The man reflected in the mirror made the exact same movements. As a test, I stuck out my tongue. The man did the same. Contemptuous laughter resounded in the air for a moment. We started a staring contest. Various facial expressions were made. Try smiling. Let's not get angry and make this worse. The man beamed a lovely smile. I feel sick. This can't be. I wanted to cry. The man reflected in the mirror gave a smile that looked almost tearful as well. A pathetic face. I became a guy. Muttering that, something suddenly hit me. Hey, where's the bathroom? There's one in each of our rooms, right? I won't understand if you say each of our rooms. Woman shook her head as though shocked. Each of our rooms means each of our rooms. Where are they? Where? You already know that, don't you? It's no good. Our conversation's going nowhere. I started running. This building on the same one as the dream I had before. I have at least a general idea of where it is. While running, I thought, it's a little hard to run, isn't it? That's because you're on pain meds and severely injured. Go lie down. I found the bathroom and rushed inside. It seems my body sensations are different than usual. My shoulder slams into the door frame at full speed. It hurts, But now's not the time for that. I opened the bathroom door. Timidly, I brushed my body over my clothes. It was solidly built, but it seems like the body didn't get that much bigger. Medium build, average height, somewhere around there. For a woman like me, this was plenty built, however. My chest didn't stick out the way it should. It was a little bit of a shock. There was a sense of incompatibility with my lower half. To be precise, the area between the legs. My cheeks grew hot with embarrassment. We were wondering when this scene would eventually happen. No, this isn't time to feel embarrassed by this. With my heart beating a little fast, I took off the belt of the trousers, pulled down the zipper, lowered the trousers. This is unpleasant. Yes, this is an emergency situation. An emergency situation. No, he's not even... She's trying to check if she has a penis because she's not supposed to have one. She's not used to the idea of having one. She's making sure that her body is completely changed into someone else. From her perspective, that's what it seems like, at least. We think, obviously my theory is that her mind transferred to somebody else's body, specifically Sitaro's. Well, I desperately persuade myself, gripped the elastic of the waistband and pulled it back. I stole a glance downward at the interior of my pants and... the world spins. My consciousness fades. Jeez, I don't want to believe anything anymore. That's going to be confusing when Sitaro gets the body back. It's not weird. She's just checking. Collective symptoms. When I opened my eyes, I was looking at an unfamiliar ceiling. I'd been sleeping in bed. My head hurt. I checked it right away and felt a bump. Moreover, what a horrible dream. Becoming a man, that doesn't happen outside of nightmares. Or certain fantasies. Just then I sensed a person's presence right next to me. There were eyes staring this way. Rose with a start. The person standing there was not Yomogi, nor Mayuzumi, nor Yuni. It was Inabushi Keiko. Hi! Still a little nervous around you. I jumped up in a panic. But Inabushi Keiko looked even more panicked than I was. Maybe she'd been surprised when I suddenly jumped up, but her body shook so hard she fell from the chair she was sitting on. She looked at me with frightened eyes. She didn't look the least bit like a brutal murderer. Thanks to that, I relaxed and lowered my guard completely. It seemed I had fallen into another dream. Fainting in a dream and then waking up in a dream, and it was a strange feeling. I sighed deeply. I'm sorry for surprising you. Bowing slightly, Inabushi Keiko shook her head. I don't read stuff like this. It's just a visual novel. It's not even that weird of one, let's be honest. Somehow she gave off a rather docile expression. She was completely different from what I had imagined after reading the file. Of course it was a dream after all. Inabushi Keiko stood up and walked over to the desk. Did I go into her room by accident? I looked around the room. I'd fainted in the bathroom and lost consciousness, it seemed. If I found something like that attached to the lower half of the body, I'm sure anyone else would faint too. I'd be indifferent. Then again, kind of a guy. So... I'm trying to think if the situation was reversed. Nah, probably not be a big deal. Clinging to small hope, I tried shifting my lower body. As I'd thought, there was an incompatibility. It seemed I was still a man. It was a dream after all. It's very Japanese. What clued you in? The Japanese names, the Japanese clothing, or the Japanese everything else? I was having a dream where I was in Svea. That was why it wasn't strange for Inabushi Keiko to be here. It was a dream, then I would just have to defy it. That way I would probably wake up. Inabushi Keiko turned to face me and hesitantly offered me her hand. In it was a glass. It was full of water. For a moment I didn't know what she was doing. She's offering you a glass of water! It seemed as though she had brought some water for me, and even though I had noticed this, it took me a while to realize. I took it confused. I think you have a really restricted view of what's Western-y, and two, Tidapro are making fun of you because, yes, it's obvious this is a Japanese visual novel. Not many people in the US, besides indie folks, do visual novels. Thank you. Inabushi only nodded. I didn't know if she had slipped poison into the water she had brought me, and I was a little hesitant. Hello? Is this the first time you just got here? Because this happens to be someone suffering from dissociative identity disorder, apparently, who committed serial murder. So she's adorable, yes. But one of her personalities is murder. Ask her for a date. No. I don't know anything about her yet. She's essentially mute at this point. So I haven't exactly gotten much information about what she's like. But in the end, I drank it. Nice score there. It was a dream, so it didn't matter if there was any poison in it. I chugged it down in one gulp. Seemed to be thirstier than I expected. Water is delicious. Inubushi quietly stared at me without breathing. She seemed to be looking at my complexion. Inubushi-san? When I called her, Inubushi shook her head. What? She hasn't answered to that, remember? Inubushi looked around the room and picked up a notepad on top of the desk. She enthusiastically wrote something on it. Not long after, she accidentally presented me with the notepad. I took it without quite understanding why. She's mute. She's trying to communicate with you in a way you understand. Not Inubushi. Hattori. Ah, okay. So that's the name of, that's her name, huh? Was what was written. See, here's the thing. Dissociative identity disorder is not a disorder wherein there's a main personality and then a bunch of split-off personalities, and each one of those are used as coping mechanisms for great trauma, usually. The dissociative identity disorder, as we understand it now, is closer to just they're all fragments of the main personality, and a full integration is required for recovery from the disorder. So I don't know if this is just one of the fragment personalities, or this is the integrated personality after her treatments. We have no idea. So I will refer to her by whatever name she wants to be referred to at the time, because they are still distinct personalities to a certain extent. Was what was written. Now that you mention it, you can't speak, can you? But Hattori, what's that about? Inubushi took back the notepad, and the time ran the pen over it slightly rudely. My name is Suzukage Hattori. Suzukage Hattori? The girl nodded sharply. But I was sure I hadn't seen her name wrong. This girl, she's Inubushi Keiko. You would think if you were coming to interview her and you know she had dissociative identity disorder, that you would look up information about dissociative identity disorder. I'm just saying. This should be like the first thing that pops into your mind is, oh, this is either the combined personality back to normal, or this is a different personality. Yeah, but Taita Pro, you haven't seen instances of censorship or anything. And that requires specifically knowing the context of the original translation compared to, well, the original version compared to what the translation is doing. You don't have that context, I'm assuming. So I don't know if what you're saying doesn't actually fit your reactions. Was she lying? If so, why? I observed the girl who had introduced herself as Satori. The girl turned her eyes towards me. It didn't seem like she was lying. Then it occurred to me. The girl had DID, dissociative identity disorder. Inside Inubushi Keiko, there were multiple personalities. In other words, Suzukage Hattori was a separate personality from Inubushi Keiko. Furthermore, it was possible that whenever she became Suzukage Hattori, she suffered a temporary loss of speech. Oh, this isn't a dating sim visual novel. Stop it. I am not going to date only ladies. Until later. I understand. Then Suzukage Hattori-chan. I tried to talk as gently as possible. The girl blinked in surprise and answered my call. In the meanwhile, I decided to go along with her. It didn't matter how many times I tried saying you are Inubushi Keiko to her, as the Hattori personality probably didn't even know her. There are instances, I believe, of DID personalities being aware of each other, but I'm not 100% certain. I don't think they get access to their memories. It's complicated, and it's not something I know as much about as I should. I should catch up on some of the latest literature if I could get my hands on it, actually. It had been established that in the case of a person with multiple personalities, the different alters were not conscious of each other. I guess I don't know if that's 100% accurate nowadays. But like I said, I'm not 100% up to date. So it's possible there. So let's just assume, since the game is telling us this, that as for in game, that is the established logic, that the different alters are not conscious of each other. No matter how one might try to explain it, it would probably be useless. I felt a little sorry for her. It was possible she was suffering in her own way too. No, wait. There's something from inside my dream. It was not certain that the real Inubushi Keiko had another personality named Suzukage Hattori within her. Yes, this is just a dream I'm having. It was only a dream, so it shouldn't be impossible for anything to happen. Yeah, that's cute, Tedapro. Stop analyzing to make a game. Tell her she's pretty already. Alu, this isn't a dating sim visual novel. Stop it. I am not going to date only ladies. Until later. I understand. Then Suzukage Hattori-chan. I tried to talk as gently as possible. The girl blinked in surprise and answered my call. My name, do you know it? Even if it was an absurd dream, it originated from the experience and observations in my own brain's memory. In other words, even if they were unconscious, they were things I knew. They were things I had experienced in the past, even if I didn't remember them. Before Uni, the Uni that was at Sphia that is, had called me Sataru. Had I met a man named Sataru in the past? I shouldn't know anyone named Sataru well enough to see them in my dreams. Hattori tilted her head. She probably didn't know. What to do? At a loss, I put a hand to my face. A dull pain ran through my head as I touched the bump in the back of... Wait, what? Oh. I held down the enter button for a little too long. Sorry. No, stop it! Hold on. Cancel. What was that? Okay. I accidentally activated auto. My bad. We missed some lines. The game had surprisingly solid puzzles and the music was good. The puzzles weren't that great. They were mostly randomized. So you can't really say that the puzzles were good because they weren't specifically crafted to be good. And yes, I played Honey Pop in my own time. I wasn't terribly impressed. But I'm glad that a game like that exists because, one, it's kind of funny, and two, the creator listened to certain criticisms and actually reacted to them. So, I'm mostly cool with it. And I know Honeycomb Studio is a thing, but it seems so weird compared to Honey Pop. It's a completely different... It's like a completely different context. And it's just very interesting. Honeycomb Studio is garbage. Yeah, Honeycomb Studio just it's a really, really simple click game. I'm not saying that it's easy because I've never played it. I've just seen some videos of it. But I kind of get the impression that the person, when they made it, they were like, I want a more YouTube-friendly game. But that's me being really cynical, and I don't actually know the person's motivations, the person who created it. So that might be an unfair assumption to make. Anyway, she gently placed it under my head. It was pleasantly cool. The pain receded. Oh, thank you. Hattori nodded sharply, expressionless. Have you come too? This time the brown-skinned woman entered the room. She saw me being nursed by Hattori and laughed gently. Earlier you suddenly let out a scream and fainted. How surprised. And with your trousers undone. Yeah, who took care of that, by the way? The woman's smile became strained for just a moment. I became aghast. Now that she mentioned it, I'd certainly fainted in an extremely embarrassing position. But no, the body itself isn't mine. I'm sorry. I apologize by reflex. The woman had wrapped in a kind atmosphere that seemed to be able to forgive anything. And I thought about it. I still hadn't heard her name. You haven't told me your name yet, have you? The woman's expression became a little tenser. I see. What does I see mean, I wondered. However, the woman changed back to her radiant attitude at once. My name is Utsumi Kali. Nice to meet you. Kali. I was wondering if she was half Japanese after all. Name I never heard before. Why were people I don't know appearing even though it was my dream? You are? Huh? Can you tell me your name? Ooh. She caught on quick. I'm assuming she's not guessing that we're switching bodies. I'm assuming that she's guessing it's DID because person right next to her, it just seems like a more obvious and logical assumption to make. But she seems to have made the connection. Can you tell me your name? I'm Fuyukawa Kokoro. As I expected. Huh? Usumi bent down and glanced at my face. Her eyes were fixed, looking straight at me. Calm down and listen, okay? What? You have DID. Ha ha! I was right. Have you heard of it? Dissociative? I know what it is. I see, it's obvious to think that. You are Fuyukawa Kokoro-san, and at the same time, Yukido Satoru-san. I said I know. Interrupting Utsumi's words, I got up from my bed. I had DID? Yes, that might have been true. Seeing as now... Oops, nope, stop that! But something like that didn't matter. I need to be very careful with how long I hold the enter key down. This was a dream, so having DID wasn't a big deal. It was probably because I was unconsciously thinking about Inabushi Keiko. Now that I had thought about it, before I'd gotten the plane that crashed, I remembered being really nervous. Nervousness over interviewing a murderous monster, such a rare and horrific killer, had burned itself in my brain, and thus I had a dream like this. Satoru, you're awake! The name, this time it was Yuni who entered the room. After seeing me, he called me Satoru without hesitation. Yukido Satoru. I was mistakenly called that even at the shelter cabin. See, this is where you should make the connection that something's wrong. Hey! Yuni hesitantly looked up at me. It was because I scared him earlier. Are you okay? I wanted to say the same thing right back at him. He didn't look so good. His face was awfully pale. Satoru, right? I let out a sigh. Explaining it was Fuyukawa Kokoro yet again was a bother. He wouldn't believe me anyway. I have DID after all. It was a dream, so who I was didn't matter. That's right. It seems that way. My head was throbbing again a little. Was this pain a dream too? Even though the feeling was so clear. Thinking that way, I got a little scared. This is really a dream, right? My eyes met Hattori's. DID. There's a possibility that I really had DID. In that case, it would explain why I was at Sphia as if it were natural. It also explained the attitude Utsumi and the rest had taken toward me. This dream, this institute, Inabushi and Utsumi, they're all too real. Uh-oh. It just occurred to me that Hattori might not have DID. Duh! We're switching bodies, why isn't she? Oh no, wait, that did occur to me on Tuesday. I don't think I mentioned it, though. Yeah, it totally occurred to me before. Okay, yeah. Why did it just reoccur to me now and I forgot that I've made that assumption before? Anyway, the current theory I have is Hattori is not suffering from DID, but is, in fact, also switching bodies. This dream, this institute, and yeah, they're all too real. Were dreams this vivid even possible? Lucid dream? Most people know what a lucid dream is, but as usual, we're checking. A lucid dream, when one is dreaming, yet at the same time conscious of the fact that he or she is currently dreaming. It can also refer to the technique of entering such a dream. It is said that those who are having lucid dreams realize that they are in a dream and are able to direct the continuation of the dream according to their own will. Ever noticed you were in a dream and decided to start flying? There you go, lucid dream. Not everybody experiences lucid dreams. But you can use certain techniques to force it, actually, to know that you're in a dream and then do whatever you want. It's kind of complicated. It takes some effort. Some people do it for fun, though. I've heard of that, where people try to force lucid dreams for fun because you're just like, well, I can do anything. And there's no consequences. I mean, who wouldn't want that? If there's no consequences to literally anyone else, but still. My head hurts. I'm confused again. For the sake of argument, if this was a dream, where's the real me right now? Maybe the plane accident was a dream as well. No, I think that part was real. I certainly got into an airplane accident, and right now I should be sleeping in a shelter cabin on a snowy mountain. No, you were looking at a newspaper, and then something happened. So, sleeping? Maybe passed out. Or if Satoru's running around in your body, let's hope he doesn't do the same thing you did. But that newspaper, in reality, there's no explanation for it. Just what was that? could also say, this is reality and the shelter cabin is a dream. It's possible to think that too. Is my real body a boy's? Which would mean that I was a boy originally. Meaning that the personality of the woman called Fuyukawa Kokoro was born inside and only existed in a man named Yukido Satoru? Why would you need money in a dream? You can make anything appear forever. Let me be alone for a while. No matter how much I think, I can't understand any of this. I don't want to think about this anymore. If this is a dream, I need to hurry and wake up. Staggering, I left the room. I left the wide central room and exited into the kitchen. Thinking I could calm down on the sofa, I headed toward the inner living area. Yeah! Hattori was standing right behind me. Even though I said I wanted to be alone, it seems she would follow me. Hattori saw me jump back and I tilted her neck. I wonder if she was doing it on purpose. I wonder if she's trying to make fun of me. Jeez. It's impossible to rest like this. Having no other option, I decided to explore the institution. Moving to and fro, I finished walking around without thinking about anything. That being said, I'd already gone over the inside of the institute once before. Now then, what should I do? Seems the only remaining place to check out are 2 of the 4 doors in this room. As I face away from the main entrance, there are 2 inner rooms. Investigated room on the left-hand side. Hattori didn't follow me. You can, like, practice trying for lucid dreams. Yeah, it's possible. There are certain techniques you can do. It's not guaranteed, but it makes it more likely, and you're able to actually say, you're able to actually work it through, like, through certain... It's really difficult. Doing it the other way, doing it so you remember your dreams better, is also something that's pretty difficult, but it can be something that you work at. Dreams are weird. Dreams have still never been fully understood in psychology. There are a lot of theories, some of them more sound than others, but nothing really concrete. Dreams are just weird. It's something we know that just about everybody experiences. Not everybody. There are some people who don't dream. But we know just about everybody experiences it. And we know, well, there is evidence to suggest it's healthy to dream. But it can also be a detriment if all you're experiencing are nightmares and night terrors and stuff like that. Like, stressful dreams can affect you negatively. It's weird. That said, I think it's time to take our first break of the day. So, get up, stretch, whatever you do, be able to keep watching comfortably. And I will be right back.